Welcome back to episode 25 of the Snatch Chat podcast. You are joined with me for a Q&A again, so I've got a bunch of questions that have been asked via the guys that I coach, the people in the free school community, which is the Oates Performance Lab, and if you're not in there, got to get yourself in there. There's loads of free stuff to actually help you improve your weightlifting technique, movement standard, but also training. It's all within the community. I've added in the link below. But before the podcast began, literally I had a timer on the screen, like 5-second countdown. And I was like, I haven't had for ages is like a few guests on the podcast. So that is definitely something that I'm going to look at doing over the next couple of weeks. There's a few clients that I actually want to just sit down with, have a bit of a chat. I think they've got stories that will probably resonate with a lot of you everyday lifters that want to improve the way that you live, but obviously you live a busy lifestyle, you haven't got hours and hours to sort of train. But also those of you that are sort of listening, wanting to potentially take part in weightlifting or do it but don't really know what to do. These are the people that like started with where you are potentially right now. So I think it'd be sort of good to hear their side of events and their approach really to life and everything like that. But anyways, let's get ourselves started. So question 1. My overhead stability is the limiter in the jerk. Are there any specific complexes or positional holds you like to build confidence and lockout strength? Okay, so first things first. Before you even look at movements, I think sometimes people get carried away with there's got to be a movement to fix this. And if you've got overhead stability is your limiter in the jerk, you've got to look at the positions that you currently hold, okay? Now, what I mean by that is you will probably find, 9 times out of 10, if stability is the limiter overhead, is that your feet are coming inwards and you're literally trying to lift on a tightrope. It's going to make it really hard. So we want to try and widen that base. Now, there's different ways to approach this. Every lifter is going to be slightly different, but you might want to think about dip jump, and I'm going to kick my front foot out. The other one might well be that you're going to take your feet a little bit wider before you even initiate the jerk. So because you've got a wider base to start the dip, as your feet come in, you'll maintain a slightly wider split position. And there's not one cue that will fit all, unfortunately. You've got to find the thing that resonates with you. And they're probably the two of the most common ones that I use with the people that I coach. Now, once you've assessed what's happening with the feet, there are different things that are going to help. Okay, if your feet are coming inwards, you probably want to take a look at movements like jerk balances, just so you can then practice and prime the position that you're in. The other thing to take a look at, if your feet aren't coming inwards, it might well be that your back leg is too straight, so you end up sinking onto your front foot, and then that creates the instability overhead as well. So a nice way to look at this is you've got an anchor and you've got a brake. Your back leg is the anchor. Your front foot is the brake. If we wanted to try and find a solid lockout overhead, we want that anchor to be chucked out and to sink us into position before we put the brake on. So basically what I'm trying to say is, in your jerk, you want your back foot to contact the floor first. That's the anchor that's going to enable you to sink in, then you can put the brake on. If the brake goes on before the anchor, what you'll find is that you're creating this rigidity overhead. You end up in quite a tight space, and that's when it becomes quite unstable. So again, you want to try and think about dip jump and kick that back leg back, trying to lead the movement with the back leg. An exercise to help with that would be a split jerk, hold the receive into an overhead split squat. Again, that's a primer, but really you don't need to look at a different exercise. You probably just want to lower the intensity that you're lifting at and increase the volume. Volume is reps that allow you to practice movement. Literally the best thing you can do is just increase the amount of volume that you're lifting with. Next question. I train early mornings. What's the minimum effective pre-workout nutrition so I'm not lifting on fumes but also not stuffed? Okay, now when it comes to effective pre-workout nutrition before a workout when you're training early in the morning, it's going to differ between person to person. I am a person that could literally eat a bowl of porridge at 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning and literally go and train on a full stomach, and I would be absolutely fine. And that's mainly because when I used to swim early in the morning, I would have to have this bowl of I'd have to have my breakfast before I'd even step foot in the pool at 5:15. So I'd be eating at like 4. Just because otherwise I found my energy literally plummeted after that first hour. Really funny now though, I literally trained at 6:30 this morning and I had a coffee and that was about it. You've got to find what literally works for you. It might well be a coffee and banana, it might well be a big bowl of oats or a proper breakfast before you go and train. There are other things that you've got to take a look at rather than just solely focusing on the nutrition before the workout. You want to look at what you're having the evening before, okay? Whether that's a higher carb meal, so you've got the energy. So when you go to the gym in the morning, you've still got the energy there. You've got the stores of energy to actually execute in that workout. If you have something that's low calorie, low carb, you've probably not got the energy stores ready for the session on the day. So there's different things, and it's quite hard to sort of say, oh, this is what you should do. There's no right or wrong. I think a lot of the time it's about going out there and experimenting, seeing what works for you, seeing what doesn't work for you, and then sticking with what works for you, really. Next question 3. No, that's just the one. Bad session spiral. When the bar feels heavy from the warm-up, how do you reset mentally so the day isn't a write-off? Okay. Again, I think there's different approaches that you need to take, and it all depends on actually how shit that session is. If things are feeling heavy in a warm-up, the first thing you probably want to do is slow your warm-up down. Not think that you've just got to get up to your working weight to attack it. If, for example, set 1, 65 kilos. I've got the bar's moving all right. I'm going to do more weight on the more sets on the bar until the bar feels okay. Then I'm going to go 40 kilos. 45, 50 kilos. 50 kilos, it's here and there, it's a few hit and miss reps. Doesn't feel as consistent, doesn't feel as sharp as I know it can. Well, I'm not going to go to 60, and I'm not going to start building that weight until this weight feels right, okay? That's the first thing, is not to rush your warm-up. You might find that you build it all the way up to your starting weight, you then all of a sudden psych yourself out, it's now feeling heavier. Don't be afraid to bring it back a set, okay? Bring the weight down a little bit. Work on that, make everything firing on all cylinders, and then push it back up. If you are having a bad day, there's 2 things to do. Firstly, just reduce the weight that you're lifting at. 85% feels like shit, bring it down to 80%. A percentage I don't think it should be a black and white thing, okay? Yes, okay, you're in the middle of a strength block, you need to start pushing those numbers. You're having a bad session, okay? Things are feeling heavier. You are better at reducing that volume down and hitting the correct stimulus of this is heavy, but I'm nailing that bottom position than you are that this is heavy and it's making me lift like shit. You're better off reducing that intensity down so you can actually work at that work rate. That's another thing you can do. If you are absolutely having one of those days where it's just shit, nothing's moving right, you've brought the percentage down, you're failing left, right and centre, everything feels uncoordinated, you've basically forgot how to lift. Don't lift. Just change the exercise. If I was doing snatches and my movement doesn't feel good, I might go into a snatch balance, into an overhead squat. Cleans don't feel good, move on to front squats. Jerks don't feel good, go into push press. Find a variant of that movement that is a simple skill. Weightlifting's really, really challenging. So especially for the females that are listening to this and you've got your period cycles, you'll probably find a period in your training or the month where things are now starting to feel shit, heavy, slow, not as powerful, uncoordinated, you forgot what to do. Make the adjustments that you can that we've just sort of spoke about and then action that session. If it doesn't feel right, look for a variant in that movement that is a simple skill. Snatch balance, dip, jump, control into that bottom position. Front squat, sit down, stand back up. Push press, dip, drive, push. It takes away the fact that a push press is a dip, drive, push, split jerk is dip, drive, and attack that split, hold that position, and then stand up. You're just looking for a simpler version of the movement that's just not working for you today. Next question. On cleans, my pull feels strong, but I'm slow under the bar. What's the best way to train speed and timing without just maxing out? Well, you definitely don't want to be maxing out if things are feeling slow. So I'm having an absolute bloody mare with this chair today. It keeps rolling towards the wall. Let me sort that out. So there we go. Okay. And the lights are, see, I'm rolling backwards all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on. So on cleans, my pull feels strong, but I'm slow under the bar. What's the best way to train speed and timing without just maxing out? So if your pull feels good off the floor, I'm assuming you're saying that second pull feels slow. Is that because it's a lack of confidence? It feels heavy, you just don't know what you're doing, or you're just not feeling as timed in that part of that lift? Looking at hang variations will really help. Put yourself in that position, pause in that position, then attack the lift. Or if you're just looking to drive hard through that second phase, then you've got more momentum into extension, look at block cleans. They're probably two of the main movements to sort of look at. That's a simple question, yeah. Hang cleans to work on the position past the knee, and if it is aggression, speed, look at block cleans. Simples. Next question. I've got a nagging patella tendon ache that flares up on squats and jerks. What modifications or accessory work would you program while still making progress? Okay, a patella tendon ache. Again, don't take my word for gospel. First thing you want to do is go to a physio, ask them what is going on, and if you firstly are okay to sort of carry on training. And as I said, I think it was the last, I got a question very similar to this in the last episode. If, for example, no, not for example, you need to try and find a physio that at least trains, okay? Rather than one of these physios that's never done a day of training in their life. They've got this physio job, you've gone to them with a patella tendonitis, and now they're going to tell you to stop for 6 weeks. It's not worth it. Find a physio that can relate to what you are saying, and that trains and understands that you're not just someone that has got a patella tendonitis and has never done anything in their life. Then from there, the first thing you probably want to take out is that grinding, hitting, bouncing onto that joint. So things like snatches, cleans might not be ideal. So you probably want to look at doing power cleans, stopping that movement, taking the pressure off the end range of that lift. Maybe even stuff like a no feet snatch or a no feet clean, just so you haven't got that jump land and driving all that pressure through the knee. You might want to look at muscle snatches. You might want to just move away from them altogether and look at doing slow controlled squat variants, whether that's an overhead squat or a front squat. When it comes to the accessory based movements, I would look at doing squats. I would go barefoot. I'd go slow eccentric to actually load the quads up, and I would make sure as I sit down, I'm sitting to my bottom position, but there's no stretch reflex out of the hole, okay? Sit down, stop, and stand. All that pressure stays within the quads. That stretch reflex requires the knee to do quite a little bit more work. That's when you're going to start to flare the knee up. Other accessories, look at doing leg extensions. Pause at the top of that movement. Squeeze the toes towards the ceiling. So you're really lightening up that VMO, and keep it light and get loads of reps in there. 3 sets of 30. Just flood the joint with as much blood as possible. Blood is going to help repair that tendon niggle that you've got. So high volume, fast work is definitely going to do that. Other things to sort of consider, whether you're struggling with the Olympic lifting movements but you want to sort of carry on training, accessories like I've just said, but you might want to stop doing snatches and clean and jerks, and you might want to focus on static strength, whether that's snatch pulls and clean pulls, snatch deadlifts, clean deadlifts, whether that's strict press, seated military press. Look at the things that make up those Olympic lifts and just work on those. Simples. Next question. When progress stalls, how do you decide whether to push through with more exposure to the lifts or back off and run a technical phase? Now, when progress stalls, how do you decide whether to push through with more exposure to the lifts or back off and run a technical phase? I think they both play a part. Okay, and they're both basically exactly the same. If you are plateauing and you're finding that you're struggling to push through a new max, you are better off is bringing that intensity right down, pinpointing the areas that you're going to focus on within the new training block, having, say, working between 70-75%, but really increasing the volume that you're working at. Volume as I've previously said, allows you time to work on the technical change that you're looking to make. So then as you build the intensity, you lower that volume down, but you've got strong foundations of the technical change that you've made. So yeah, you're going to bring it down and expose yourself to the lifts, and you're going to run a technical phase. So that it's basically asking the same thing, but that's how I'm going to merge them together. Next question. My snatch keeps crashing on me at the bottom. Bar feels weightless, then slams. Any cues or drills to keep tension and meet the bar smoothly? Okay, so I'm assuming here that you are racing the bar to that bottom position. You're dropping and waiting for that bar to land onto you. So you're not meeting the bar. That's why the bar is crashing onto you. So things that I would look at doing, and I wouldn't normally say this, but you might want to start looking at power snatches. Not a power snatch like you'd see in a CrossFit workout where people are trying to catch really, really high. I would almost run a power snatch as a high snatch. So you've got the parallel line, a snatch is below parallel, power snatch is just above parallel. So you're looking to catch it just a fraction above parallel or on that parallel line. It allows you to focus on having the same movement and the same technique as the snatch, but doesn't allow you just to yank it overhead and catch super, super high, because that's not going to have any carryover whatsoever. I want it to have a lot of carryover. I want you to try and focus on meeting the bar. The bar reaches its peak height that you pull to, and you're going to try and stop that bar. So manipulating the movement with power snatches, but trying to catch on that line. Other things that I would sort of look at doing as well would be sort of high hang snatches, maybe even block snatches, just to sort of focus on reducing the pulling length, and again focusing on meeting the bar. Simples really. You're going to focus on meeting the bar. Power snatches, other movements from blocks, even high hangs, allow you to have exposure to the main lift, but gives you that focus on trying to meet the bar. Okay. Oh, I think this is the last question. Damn, that's been quick, isn't it? Oof. Last question. How many heavy sessions per week do you recommend for everyday lifters without frying the CNS? Any simple ways to balance volume and intensity? And again, this is all going to differ. Everyday lifters is quite a broad term. That could well be someone that's just began. So they have a very young training age to weightlifting. It might well be someone that's trained for years. Totally different end of the spectrum. First thing is, what are you able to tolerate when it comes to intensity? Things to think about is your training age, your age, and your gender. There's three things that I would sort of look at. Everyone's going to be totally different. Now, what I would look at doing with someone right at the start of their journey, they're just getting out, is that they're going to have a low day, a medium day, and a high day. A 3-step process. I'm going off what someone that trains 3 days a week, okay, argument's sake. For an example, day 1, low, day 2, moderate, day 3, heavy. Now you might need to manipulate that cycle to work for you. You have really heavy, a gentle start to the week, really heavy middle, it's all right at the weekend. So you're going to start the week on moderate, you're then going to drop down to low intensity because the stress of work. And then you're going to finish the week on high intensity. Round Mondays are great. High intensity, medium intensity, low intensity if the end of the week is busy. You've got to manipulate that intensity to what works for you. That's the first thing I'd look at. So that is suggesting that you're going to be able to do 1 to 2 heavy days. You might not want that low day. You might want moderate, heavy. And as that training program builds, you then go moderate, heavy, or heavy, moderate, heavy. I would keep it super, super simple basically. I could go into loads of different ways of trying to show you ways to set up training, but I think we just overcomplicate the hell out of it. I would just look at having that step process. Low, medium, heavy, and setting those 3 in and around your schedule, whether that's low, medium, heavy, medium, low, heavy, medium, low, heavy, low, medium, whatever that works for you, do so. If you train 4 days a week, you might want to go 2 lows or 2 mediums or 2 heavies. Again, depending on your age, gender, and normally females can withstand higher volume than men. Argument like it is just what it is. But again, it all differs around your period cycle and your training age. There's 3 things, but you can manipulate that however you like. You want different variants, different variations of intensity. At the start, you might have more low days if it's a 4-day, and as you progress through the journey, you can withstand more intensity. And then obviously, age hits, you get older, you want probably more moderate days than high days. Yeah, I think that's a simple way of looking at something that can be a really complicating subject. But as I said at the start, if you want to just crack your weightlifting technique, master the snatch, clean, split, jerk, and actually just have clarity on your own training, it is all within the free weightlifting community. It's not the weightlifting, it is the Optilift Performance Lab. I forget my own name, it's such a long day. It's called the Optilift Performance Lab. It's a school community. There's loads of free resources in there that you can literally plug and play within your own training that's going to improve your technique, make you stronger, and actually start to give you the clarity and the understanding of how to actually structure your own programming. If you want to take that further, DM for coaching. That's another little plug. And we'll sit down together, we'll jump on a discovery call. There's absolutely no obligation. I'm not one of these that's going to start to tell you that, all you've got to do is stop going to Costa 3 times a week to afford coaching. I just generally want to help as many people as possible. That's literally my only goal. Whether that's sitting on a discovery call with you and we talk about your strengths and your weaknesses and what your focus points should be within your next training program and what I would do to structure that program. I give you all the tools and you can go away and do it yourself, or you can actually allow me to do all the work, or all the prep bacon work, give you the program and you run it, and we'll work together on a one-to-one basis to make sure that program is specific to you. It all depends, okay? But the link is below if you want to have any more information on the Optilift method and how we can actually work together to improve your lifts. It's the end of this faster or shorter podcast compared to the previous ones. As I said at the start, I'm going to get some guests on over the next block of podcasts, clients that I coach with their stories on who they are, why they weightlift, what they enjoy with the sport, and the pain points they've sort of, had through their journeys. At the end of the day, I just want their stories to resonate with you, to actually help you out, to make you a better lifter. If you haven't already, make sure to click like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, which is episode 26. We are running towards episode 30. That means 30 episodes is 30 weeks. I've been sat here doing something that I flipping never thought I would love as much as I do. See you in the next one.